My name is Tracy Clough, and I teach freshman composition at the University of Texas at Arlington. Because I believe that sustainability is an important issue and one that we should all be engaged in, I do try to engage myself in sustainable practices. I think the two biggest practices that I involve myself in are recycling and composting. These aren't necessarily easy tasks, but in fact they help a great deal, and I wind up throwing away a lot less trash than I used to by making sure that I read the labels, purchasing things that I can recycle, recycling the things that I can, and trying to purchase items that have less packaging. I also no longer throw all my old food down the disposal as I used to, but instead put that in the back garden and try to use a compost that I've made myself. It's a nice little practice that makes me feel better about what I'm doing, and it's a small step, although albeit not an end-all. Composting may be a term that many of you are not familiar with, but it's taking all of your food and perishable items. It includes coffee grounds. For all of you coffee drinkers, you can do something really special with your coffee, and tea grounds. You put those all in the back in a contained space with some dried leaves, turning it over, and after a period of time it gets broken down and becomes great fertilizer for flower beds and vegetable gardens. Although I believe in living sustainably, certain choices become very difficult to maintain that ethic. It's easy to recycle today because so much infrastructure has been developed now through cities and local governments that help me do that, and composting merely means that I take my own trash and take it to the backyard. But one of the ways in which it is much more difficult to live sustainably is in other kinds of purchases, clothing in particular, in which it is so difficult to trace the origins of our clothing, where it comes from, how it's manufactured, how far it travels, which has a lot to do with how it impacts the environment. And of course, one of the biggest factors is price. All of us like to buy things that we can afford, and unfortunately, most of the clothing manufacturers who do practice sustainable practices charge a very great deal for their clothes, and therefore I wear what everybody else wears, affordable clothing. These are the small steps I'm taking for sustainable living. What steps can you take?